In the last week alone, people have generated more than 500,000 databases on Lovable. It's one of the most popular AI app building tools, but it's not the only one you should consider. In this video, I'm going to cover 7 Lovable alternatives because depending on what you want to build, there might be a different vibe coding tool that you should be using. And the last 2 let you get your app into the App Store, so you're definitely going to want to check those out. Let's jump in. The first alternative you should know about is Base 44. Base 44 was acquired for $80 million by Wix just 6 months after it was created. Now, what makes Base 44 a little bit different from Lovable is that it has a fully integrated product. There are a couple things that I think set Base 44 apart from Lovable. So first is its integrations. It has a lot of apps integrated into the platform. So if you want to build these apps as an integration into what you're building in Base 44, it does it for you. This includes things like HubSpot for syncing customer data, which is really great for building internal apps. If you use HubSpot, you can bring in X data. You can use Twilio for SMS messages, Resend for emails. So all of these are built directly into Base 44. It also has the backend database and the logic all built into its own platform. Now, Lovable has recently introduced something called Lovable Cloud to bring in some of these features as well, but Base 44 has always been that way. That is something that's a little bit different from Lovable, is that you can't easily leave the Base 44 platform the way that you can with Lovable. So just something to keep in mind if you're using Base 44, but it's a really great one to try out. And they have a free plan for $0, 25 message credits a month, and 100 integration credits a month. The integration credits are basically used up when you use those integrations that I just talked about. So I definitely recommend going to Base 44 and trying it out and seeing what you think. The next tool that you should try is Get Mocha. Now, Mocha has some similarities to Base 44. It has the integrated database. It has the backend logic built in. Now, it doesn't have the same integrations. So if you want to hook up to OpenAI, for example, you would need to actually connect OpenAI with an API key to Mocha. Now, Mocha does make this easy to do, but it's not as fully integrated. But other than that, I would say that Mocha is potentially even easier to use than Base 44. Now, because they're similar, I definitely recommend trying out both of them. There's also a nice spotlight feature here on Mocha, so you can see apps that were actually built on the Mocha platform and get inspired by that. And Mocha also has a free plan to start out with, so you can try it out and see if it is a good fit for you. But Mocha is another really great, Lovable alternative. The next alternative you should check out is Bolt. Now, Bolt came out around the same time as Lovable. It's about a year now, and they are both the market leaders, I would say, just in terms of brand recognition. So you may have heard of Bolt before. Now, Bolt just came out with something called Bolt V2. So what that means is, one, it improved the coding agents. It also has a built-in backend with hosting, database, and storage. That's going to be very similar to what Lovable has integrated. They're both integrated with Supabase in the backend, so it's very similar here. And then they also say they've improved the error loops and setup nightmares that you can encounter with vibe coding. So this, again, is definitely worth checking out as a Lovable alternative. If we go into pricing, we can see, again, there is a free tier on Bolt. I think all the tools I'm talking about have a free tier, so you can go in and check it out. A lot of this is going to be to see which tool you vibe the most with. Sometimes you have to try them out and see which one you feel like you're able to communicate the best with. Sometimes you could think of it, each of these as like a coworker, and you want to see which coworker you like working with the most. Now, when we get into some of the more technical differences with Bolt, especially compared to Mocha, for example, so Mocha has everything integrated. It's been built like that from the ground up. Now, Bolt recently, like Lovable, has added in the integrated database and storage. It makes it really easy to do that, but it's not built from the ground up the way that Mocha was with that integration. Bolt also doesn't have the integrations that Base 44 has, where you can basically add in integrations with HubSpot or OpenAI or Twilio into your app without having to basically get the API keys and bring them in. That's another thing that I think Base 44 does a really good job at. The next alternative that you should check out is Dyad. So Dyad is a free, local, and open source AI app builder. So there are some real differentiations here compared to some of the other tools we talked about. Now, there is a Pro plan. So on Dyad Pro, you have the ability to access smarter models. You're able to let Dyad give better context to the AI, which saves you money in credits, but also gives you better results. And you can use cost-efficient models automatically. So that's something that's really nice that Dyad has for its Pro version, but in its free version, you can actually use free AI models. And you can do that by connecting your Google API key, which will give you some free access to Gemini models, or OpenRouter, which has access to free models as well. And then it has the ability to build completely on your own system. And because it's open source, if you are technical and want to actually see how it's built, you can do that as well. So Dyad, definitely want to check out, especially if you want a completely free option. Now, the next tool to talk about is Memex. Memex is a little bit like Dyad, where Dyad, you download an app onto your computer. You do the same thing with Memex. One of the differences is with Memex, you don't have control over the exact model that's being used. It will decide what model to use on its own. They do use really good models, so you don't have to worry about that, but it's not like Dyad where you have more control over the exact model that's being used, but all the code is going to be locally on your computer. That's similar to how Dyad is set up. One thing about Memex that I really like is how agentic the AI is, meaning it's going to debug everything on its own. Like I've given it a prompt and it'll work for a good amount of time and really debug and make sure that the result is really high quality. Memex, I definitely recommend checking out. You should download it. They also have a free plan to check it out yourself and see if you like it. But Memex is another great Lovable alternative. Now, the last two I'm going to cover are more focused on mobile apps. So this is something that actually is a really big difference between Lovable, because Lovable is meant for web apps. Web apps meaning you access them from any web browser. A mobile app is something that you can download in the App Store. Now, Dreamflow is definitely one to check out. It's built by the team from Flutterflow, if you've heard of Flutterflow before, but it generates Flutter code, and it is a vibe coding tool that also gives you full access to all of the code as well. And you can go from your idea all the way to getting it in the App Store. With Dreamflow, I've been able to go and get it onto my phone from the vibe coding tool, which I think is pretty cool. And then finally, Rork.app. What's cool about Rork's homepage is you can actually see these apps that were built on Rork that are in the App Store right now. So you can check out and see exactly what's possible. So it has the ability to go from your idea all the way to the App Store. So this would be the other one that I would definitely recommend checking out. Now, I have videos on all of these tools on our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also go into our channel and search for videos on these specific tools if you want to explore any of these in more detail, or go ahead, check them out yourself and see what you think. And let me know if you've used any of these and if you really are finding a lot of success with any of these tools in particular. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.